In the original A Nightmare on Elm Street, those who are looking out for it will notice a clue in the nightmare scenes that indicate that the character is dreaming. If you see the red and green stripe pattern, similar to Freddy's iconic sweater, you know you're in for a bad time. The second movie, Freddy's Revenge, spends less time in the dream world, with Freddy's new approach being to take control of someone in the real world to do his bidding. But if you're looking for it, green and red are still used to signify his reign of terror, this time using lights and set design elements. When Jesse sneaks out to the bar, Don's place, it's illuminated in red and green alternating lights. The ensuing gym and shower scene also features hues of red and green. Jesse and Lisa share a moment together in the pool house, where Freddy starts to take over Jesse's body, and the towels hanging behind them are a green striped towel and a red striped towel. There's a similar attack in Grady's room, which is covered in wallpaper featuring red and green shapes. Lisa's pool party is crashed by Freddy Krueger. The brick perimeter and the rest of the backyard are covered in red and green alternating uplights, which are most visible as Freddy takes control of the party. As he causes mayhem in the house, the TV glows red and the mirror glows green. Finally, the finale at the abandoned power plant defies logic because there wouldn't be lights on in an abandoned plant, but the place is lit up with reds and greens. The impressive part is how they managed to do all of this without making it feel too Christmassy. To learn about all of Nightmare 2's secrets, stick around to the end of this video. Welcome to Things You Missed. The Revenge! After directing the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven was given the opportunity to direct the sequel. Craven never really wanted a sequel. In fact, the ending of the first one, where Freddy takes over the convertible, was done against his will. Still, he agreed to read the script for A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, didn't like the concept, or the scene with the exploding parakeet, and turned his focus back to the Hills Have Eyes franchise. This guy, Jack Sholder, took the directing job, and apparently was so focused on fulfilling his duties that he didn't notice this subtext going on in the script.
I never really thought a whole lot about the underlying stuff that was going on, all the talk about the gay theme. It never occurred to me. I was just trying to make my days and, get this complicated thing shot.
A lot of these were pretty blatant when you watch the film, thanks to shots like this, or lines like this.
Something is trying to get inside my body.
Yeah, and she's female and she's waiting for you in the cabana. And you want to sleep with me.
But there are a few things I noticed that I haven't seen anyone talk about. So let's cut in to the things you missed. The opening scene takes place in a nightmare, where the main character, Jesse, is trapped on a school bus operated by Freddy Krueger. At the beginning of the dream, the driver can be seen and identified as Robert Englund, the Freddy actor out of makeup, something I didn't realize until after seeing New Nightmare. On the bus dashboard, there's also a Body Glove sticker. Body Glove is a surfing brand, and as I mentioned in the Things You Missed episode on the first movie, Robert Englund was really into surfing and even acted in a surfing movie called Big Wednesday. So this sticker is probably a little nod to that. 5 years have passed since the first movie, and the Walsh family has moved into the house once occupied by Nancy Thompson. The bars have only been removed from the bottom floor, which makes no sense. Jesse is a teenage student who attends the local Springwood High School, which by the way is the first mention of the town by name. It's not in the first movie, so Springwood was actually an invention of the screenwriter David Chaskin. He's the one responsible for the LGBT themes in the subtext of the movie, and I think this is the first example. Springwood. Jesse also pulls up next to this car with the rainbow stickers every time in the parking lot. There's this whole pantsing ordeal in gym class between Jesse and Grady, who's implied to be Jesse's crush, and the coach tells them this.
Assume the position.
I don't know if they're supposed to be doing push-ups or planks, but either way, terrible form. They use this time to gossip about the gym teacher, which comes into play later.
Guy gets his rocks off like this. Hangs around queer S&M joints downtown.
He likes pretty boys like you.
For the first movie, I talked about how Freddy represents the strained relationship between Nancy and her mom, but in this one, he plays by different rules and has a different meaning for the film. He's trying to take over Jesse's body and use him to kill people in the real world. Jesse realizes what's going on and tries to hide and repress his problem. It's the opposite of Nancy's situation in the first one. She wanted her parents to believe her about Freddy, whereas Jesse refuses his parents' help and tries to deal with things on his own. It represents his closeted homosexuality, which we see clues of throughout the movie, like his flamboyant dancing while cleaning his room. Notice how he's embarrassed when someone else sees his moves and tries to hide everything. The sign on his door says no out-of-town chicks, which from a distance reads as no chicks. And he literally has a game called Probe hidden in his closet. Whenever he wakes up from a nightmare, he screams like a girl, an example of him literally letting his true nature out in the open. As I mentioned, much of Jesse's repressed sexuality is connected to the gym teacher, Coach Schneider. After class one day, Jesse is punished when the coach hears him say this.
Schneider's always got a stick up his ass.
Is he speaking metaphorically or literally? That night, Jesse visits the aforementioned S&M joint that Coach Schneider frequents and somehow just walks into a 21+ bar and orders a beer without being ID'd or asked to pay for it. The bartender is actually a cameo from A Nightmare on Elm Street series producer Robert Shea. But Jesse is caught when the coach recognizes him and taken back to the school to run laps, which is also pretty weird. The ensuing scene is filled with S&M themes. Coach Schneider grabs a jump rope, which later comes to life and ties his hands above his head, which creates a very specific image, considering he's still wearing his S&M gear from the bar. Side note, the jump rope also ties into the nursery rhyme about Freddy Krueger, which is often recited by a group of jump roping little kids. Like when Jesse goes into his sister's room the next night and sees her jump roping. And also, she has no bed. Where does she sleep? Does she just throw herself onto the stuffed animals? She does have a bed in a different scene. I'm guessing they just didn't have room for the jump rope and the bed and just decided, we'll pull the bed out for this one. I'm sure nobody will notice. Anyway, we also see a picture of a kid jump roping in the kitchen, suggesting that all of these strange scenes are linked to the legend of Freddy Krueger. Back to Jesse's weird underage drinking punishment. He's told to hit the showers, and these shower heads look very much like something else, much like the shower heads seen in Carrie. As Coach Schneider is getting pulled through the locker room by some supernatural force, we see this dirty towel sign partially obstructed by the wall, almost making it look like it's pointing out the coach as dirty, similar to the no chicks sign in Jesse's room. When Freddy appears, he scratches the coach's back with his claw, possibly another reference to his S&M practices. But the movie seems to imply that Jesse really did this, because afterwards we see him wearing the iconic glove. The next day, there's a scene where the dad is removing the bars from the top floor, and there's this very weird shot of the parents arguing about what should be done about Jesse. I know the director said that he wasn't aware of any of the subtext in the script, but yeah, I don't know. Later that week, Jesse's friend Lisa celebrates her birthday with a pool party.
Hey, now cut that out.
Dude, why did you install a diving board in your pool if you don't want people to use it? Jesse finds himself alone in the pool house with Lisa, who's crushing on him, and this is his response.
I'm gonna leave. I'm not into this.
Wow, you don't say.
How can you help me?
Yeah, she's not getting it. She ends up trying to get busy with him, and probably not wanting to expose his secret, he plays along. But to his horror, this huge rotting tongue comes out of his mouth. And after realizing it, he gets dressed and proceeds to go to Grady's house, where he asks to stay over with him. He's trying to keep his Freddy problem, or metaphorically, his sexuality, a secret, because he feels ashamed of admitting it. But it's spilling out into the open in ways that he did not intend. He refers to it as something inside of him, which could refer to him bottling up his feelings towards Grady, or the more literal idea of Freddy getting inside of him and controlling him to do horrible things. Going to Grady's ends up being a bad idea because it just causes Freddy to emerge again, and Grady is the next victim. After his death, Jesse looks into the mirror and sees Freddy standing there. When he says, "You son of a bitch, you killed him," I think he's really talking about himself, frustrated with these feelings that he can't control. To make matters worse, back at the party, everyone there has coupled off with someone of the opposite sex, making Jesse feel even more alone. Lisa still hasn't given up on him though, even when he comes back covered in blood.
What happened?
I killed Grady. Lisa, I killed Schneider.
It's gotta be everything you've taken in. Schneider, the diary, the glove.
Yeah, apparently if a girl likes you enough, you can just start killing people and she'll still make up excuses for you. Even after Freddy takes over again and tries to kill her. It's only after Lisa confesses her love towards him that she's able to damage Freddy and ultimately defeat him. Jesse goes back to school and seems to be romantically involved with Lisa now. My perception of the ending is that Jesse was able to see the negative effects of what would happen if he came out. In a literal sense, it's Freddy Krueger taking over and causing him shame by making him kill people. But in a metaphorical sense, it's the shame that he feels about his own desires and how he'll be perceived if he follows them. In that sense, it's kind of a sad ending, much like the first movie. This was kind of a short episode. There aren't that many things you might have missed because by the director's own admission, he wasn't really thinking about subtext.
I was just trying to get this complicated thing shot.
So almost everything we talked about in this one is stuff that was in the script. The good news is that this one has probably the coolest logo animation ever. It's amazing. And if you watch this movie, then I've got news for you. You are now gay. And I know what you're thinking. CZ, didn't you have to watch the movie in order to make this video? Well, no. What I did is I actually set up a mirror in front of my computer, and I only saw the movie through that, so technically I'm good. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay, but I just decided to stay straight. If you want to watch the next episode of Things You Missed on Nightmare 3, click that video on the left. And if you don't click it, then you will explode. Remember to subscribe to CZsWorld for new horrors every week, ring the death bell for all notifications, and I will see you in the next one. Assuming we both survive.